Hi, so this is Osvaldo for Band Music. We're here in the backstage of the Folk Fest, and we're here with Jay Malinovsky, really talented musician. You have, well, better known for Bedouin Soundclash, and now you have a new project. So you want to tell us a little bit, start with a little bit of history about Bedouin Soundclash and tell the people what was that band about?
Sure. So, well, Bedouin Soundclash. I mean, when we started when we were 19. And I mean, I grew up loving The Clash, loving Massive Attack, Basically, I realized quickly on that everything I loved, mainly from the UK, was all somehow touched by reggae. And when I went to university, I met Ian, whose background Guyanese, and he had this insane record collection, and we became friends. And we wanted to create a Canadian, like something that wasn't, it was Canadian. It was speaking to something of being all of us being immigrants.
But that's what
in
Montreal or here in Vancouver was that?
We started in Kingston at school,
Kingston,
but we were based first out of Montreal and then in Toronto.
And then Bedouin Soundclash, you have like 4 or 5 CDs?
I think we
several EPs.
Let's say we have 5.
No, it was what? How many years were you in that band?
We still play. Like we haven't called it quits. But let's see, 10 years of touring around the world.
And now you have a new project with the Dead Set, and it's kind of the Dead Coast, sorry. And it's a darker.
But that's the worst band name I've ever heard. Like the Dead Set. Like your set is gonna be so dead each night.
It'll be the first album.
The first album is called "This Is Terrible" from the Dead Set. But no, it's called the Dead Coast.
The Dead Coast. It's a little darker, no? Or has more pop in it.
It's darker. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was. I think the thing that was always with Bedouin was balancing where I come from lyrically and just a bit more introspective, but also we were always putting it into more of an extroverted party sense, not party, but dance kind of community sense. So if I'm left to my own devices, usually things get a bit darker. So I think Dead Coast is it definitely has a darker tone to it.
And why did you choose strings for? Or how did you contact this?
To begin with the Dead Coast, I mean, the first thing I wanted to do was express this character of Martel, which was a concept that I'd had in my mind for a long time. And I felt strings were the only way to really do that. And I just love the way strings have they're really like a human voice, and to keep them in tune is almost even harder than it is to sing. And I loved the viola a lot, and I met Elliot Vaughn here when I moved back. And I really I thought it was a good challenge. And I think it immediately evokes an emotion that's old world, and we were trying to do something that was based in there, but new world with the character of Martel. So that's why I chose to use strings.
So it's a very conceptual album, no?
Yeah, it was definitely very planned, yeah.
And are you doing like a tour to promote the album, or what's the plan?
Not really. We'll do shows when we can do them, and it's just when we can do them.
Okay.
And but we did a tour of Europe last year. We went across Canada this year. We were just doing some festivals in BC, and one in Spain. We're doing a festival in Spain.
Cool. How do you see the reaction of the Europeans compared to Canada?
I think Europe has always gotten. It's funny. I mean, Bedouin first did well in England, and we always seem to have a better reception in Europe than we have had in North America. But with this stuff, when we were out in Europe, it was definitely a lot easier to come across. It was more accepted to be dark. I think here, there's less of an acceptance of that aspect of life. Yeah.
Cool. Plans? What are your plans for the rest of the year and the new year? You're gonna be writing with Penguin Soundclash, or gonna be doing more stuff with this new project that you have?
I hope. I mean, I think everything is up for debate. But I think right now we're just focusing on Dead Coast.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Jay Malinovsky. So where can they find your stuff? And you have your
on
own...
the internet?
Yeah, on the internet.
You can find it on jmalinovsky.com. You can go there and usually we update stuff.
Okay. No, and check out the city has awesome art, also the art design and everything. It's really cool for the city. Who did it? Who did the design?
Well, I do. I mean, I always have like a conceptual idea of what I want to do. Especially with something like the Dead Coast, it's very specific to what. I like to create a world. I think when the bands I loved when I was younger, whether it was the Clash or the Clash, I mean, they were the first band I loved that was you felt this world. You know, it wasn't just the music; it was a gang. It was wearing a safety pin. It was also you just felt like you could get inside the whole
world.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's always inspired me, and I think that so Dead Coast, it's a very specific thing. And so when we went to do the album cover, we wanted to do something very black and white, high contrast, kind of like a Chuck Close look, and then also, you know, there's a lot of I think just black and white gives a historical feel.
What about the lyrics? What the lyrics talk about?
Well, the story of Martel is a man who's going from a young person on the Pacific Ocean and more or less blaming the world for his problems to moving into an existential crisis, which I think we all experience in some way, and then eventually realizing, in a sense, and this is his character, and then he becomes a stoic and realizes that life is a series of events, and it's really not up to him as to how they become what they become. It's more how he reacts to them, and he becomes a stoic in the end, and that's his arc of the character. So. Lyrically, I tried to do that, and musically we tried to create an expansive sound of the Pacific, moving into a more cabaret feel into the Atlantic. So it becomes a little more personal, a little more self-reflective as opposed to blaming.
So it's kind of like a short story city.
At first it was going to be a short story, and then it became this epic, ongoing. How's it going? Do you have a shot of that?
Just creeping in.
It was like a monkey that came over the wall.
Yeah, I think that's it, no?
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Jay, for everything.
No, thank you.
Good luck with your projects and the city. Sure.